James.
I'm in. Doug.
Okay. We've got one. James got a weird one. I've got a weird one. You've got the best broadband in the entire country, right, Simon?
I do. We have Nextlight is, I tell you what happened. Some like 24-year-old guy decided to start this little, broadband company. 1 gigabit. Jim, what are you doing?
I'm messing with everything.
So this young kid decided to start this company, and this little 1 gigabit up, 1 gig down internet service provider. And he got all this local money behind him. And then he promptly went broke and pissed off to Puerto Vallarta. He ran away, got too hard. So the city of Longmont, where I live, said, well, screw it. We better, he's built half of it. We better fix it. So they took it over, and it's amazing. So, but they're still looking for him. Like the city managers, he's on a jihad for this 24-year-old kid that pissed off with all of the city's money. So
my internet runs my cow. It's literally
it's like manure. You're like shoveling cow shit into the back of some burner, James.
Yeah, that's how I heat my house, actually. Yeah, it's renewable energy.
So it's a pleasure meeting you. We kind of feel, Doug and I feel that we're in the presence of royalty.
I thought I was in the presence of royalty. Actually, I'm in the presence of the Pope. Am I right? You have some fans, man. You got fans.
See, Doug's uncomfortable because Doug regards you as a direct competitor. So he says,
"Oh,
I don't know what to say to Jim. I'll just be quiet." And I said, "Well, I'm not a competitor because I don't even consider myself a copywriter. So that's good." But
do a good job, because 99.99% of all of LinkedIn suck at copy. Absolutely suck. Even those who call themselves copywriters suck. They blow. I'm like, okay, and I'm sure James gets this too. I have copy.
What are you doing?
Oh, he froze. That's Doug. I wanted to know what he said too. He left me on a cliffhanger. Come back.
Doug, brother Doug, where are you? Look at him.
I know.
He looks like he just got electrocuted.
Or he's mid-sneeze.
Yeah. So, James, where do you live? Like, give me a rough, do you live in the US, or are you like, are you sort of in Guantanamo Bay or something? There's a story. Right?
I am in West Michigan. I'm in West Michigan in the middle of nowhere, intentionally in the middle of nowhere. Doug, you're muted. There we go.
Kick me out. Don't do my computer kick me out.
Okay, fine.
Damn, where did I leave off?
You just said
like
copywriters suck.
Yeah. The best copywriters are not copywriters. I'm serious. Like, whenever I see a company who's like, oh, we couldn't afford a copywriter, so we just did it ourselves, it's better than like any copywriting that I've ever seen, which is hilarious to me.
So, but I will say that James' current LinkedIn ads that he flips.
Yeah, that's great.
It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. So, and his own hashtag. I've never seen a hashtag get so many subscribers from individual. Most of it is like, and just.
Oh,
Doug, you nearly had it, Doug. He was nearly there. He nearly finished.
On the power post. Either that or
he's up to.
Yeah.
There you go. You're back.
My God, my internet sucks.
That's because your kids are downloading porn. You go knock on your kid's door and tell them to stop.
Thinking about it.
He did. He thought, shit, are they really? I think they are. They're doing freaky shit.
Already. I don't have internet
shit on your porn, on your internet.
You guys talk. I'll just watch.
You watch, okay. So James, tell us, because you and I have chatted before, and your trajectory has certainly, increased rapidly. Tell us, what do you put your success down to on LinkedIn? Let's be serious for a minute. For 5 minutes, the three of us will be serious, because some people want to know what the magic juice is behind James.
Yeah. So it's actually funny because I've felt bad about this forever. I do sales, so I am expected to forecast, and I've always hated goals, and I've always hated forecasting, and I get a lot of crap for it. But it's kind of like where do you see yourself in 5 years? Well, 5 years ago, I would never see myself here. 5 years before that, I would have never seen myself where I was. So I never have. I know it's like a sin to say. I don't have goals like other people do. I don't know. I'm enjoying the moment and what I have and what we have and the conversation. And I mean, if I'm feeling satisfied in that, then it's good. Then we're having a good day. Is that horrible? People hate that answer because they want me to see my bulleted out plan of everything. It's like, I'm here for the ride. So
no, but see, that is a shitty answer. That's a shitty answer, because I know what you do for work, and it's nothing to do with what you do on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Right. So I kind of think, well, you're wasting, like if you're getting all this traction on LinkedIn, you're a brilliant copywriter, you're a brilliant marketer, and yet you're this sort of closeted librarian in the corner on 9 to 5, but you're like Spider-Man after hours. So I think that's a shitty answer. You should try that again.
All right, we'll try that again. For me, honestly, the LinkedIn stuff, I could say it's the incoming jobs. I could say it's whatever. Those are all just measurables of, am I making an impact, and am I getting engagement, like the right kind, right? So it's a frustration if you make posts and you get no response on them. Like I talk to all these people all the time. They put posts up and they get 2 likes, and it's frustrating, and they hate it, and I would hate that, right? So that's what I mean by this. Like the comments, the incoming gigs, it's not a problem. I have more work than I can handle. Like life is good. I want the engagement. I want the friends, the fellowship, the fun, coming here to talk to you guys. This is what success looks like for me.
But at some point, I look at it and say, and I'm probably like you. A year ago, I dismissed LinkedIn completely. I'd been on LinkedIn for years, and I'd been too busy with corporate. And then when the pandemic hit, I just decided that our transportation business, we were going to, be online. That is, we were going to step up our social media presence, much to my children's horror about me, doing YouTube videos. Or when I really want to scare my kids, I tell them I'm going to do TikTok, in my underwear, right? And so
good following there.
Yeah. So but I decided that, I would just hang out on LinkedIn, and because I didn't want a job, I'm unemployable. So I didn't want a job. And I wasn't looking for career advice, and I certainly wasn't wanting to use LinkedIn as a platform to promote our transportation business. But like you, I wanted to see what engagement I could get, because I had a vision of wanting to do something else, like public speaking or talking about sales and, sales training, I suppose. And then things sort of just, I don't know when the tipping point is, but I think all three of us have, let's call it moderate success on LinkedIn in terms of engagement. But I watch a lot of people that have got huge engagement levels, huge views, huge likes. But at the end of the day, as a business person, doesn't that have to convert? Like Doug has to get jobs. James has to get jobs. I have to get, I'd like it, like I did get a big consulting gig out of this, 6 months ago, but I wasn't looking for it. And so whilst a lot of people say, don't believe in the vanity metrics, I actually think metrics matters more than anything on LinkedIn.
It depends what metrics you look at.
Well, but okay.
So this is the battle, and I got a lot of heat for saying this, but so I get 3 to 6 inbound leads a week.
Yeah.
People see my stuff or whatever, and they respond. I get 3 to 6 per week, and then I've also made another rule, which will probably make your skin crawl, of I don't follow up. And here's what I mean. If somebody reaches out and they want to engage, then fine. I tell them that's fine, set up a meeting or something. I respond, but I want to make sure that they do a level of work in order to sign me. In other words, I'm not going to chase them. I chase people all day for sales stuff, and it's awful. It's horrible. I would rather they come to me, and I would like it to be not crazy difficult, but a little bit difficult because I want to know that they actually care and they're passionate and they care about what they're working on so that when we reach out and we do something, it's actually meaningful for everybody. So the metrics of like likes or followers or whatever, it's true. If you don't have a lot of followers, you won't get exposure and then you can't convert, right? Or if you don't get a lot of likes, if you don't get a lot of that kind of engagement. So they are vanity metrics, but when you have a lot of likes, a lot of followers, then the rest of it gets easier, right? But the metrics that I use to judge more often are, the inbound leads, the I'll say sentiment, right? If somebody reaches out and they're happy and excited and things like that. When I get someone who calls me and they're like, I don't even need an intro. I know all about you. I feel like I already know you super well, and let's do this. And please use your tone of voice. Like, whew, okay, cool. I mean, Doug would probably love that. If someone's like, just use your voice, right? Like, don't try to sound like a 35-year-old woman when you write this. Just be you, because I like your tone. Well, holy cow, that makes everything easy. So I kind of judge it more on that, which is a little more abstract though. The problem is if I monitor my views, it doesn't necessarily correlate. I have video posts that have 1,000 views that convert like 1,000,000 times what my text post that has 20,000 views gets.
So I will say that, in the grand scheme of things, the only metric that matters is inbound, right? But that's for you and I. But when I work for clients who put me in charge of putting out content for their LinkedIn page or whatever, metrics matter they um because they show the zero. Like you said, first you need followers. So you need to get enough audience out there to see that you're around. So that's a metric that matters. Now your posts have to get views. I really believe that. Now, do you need 30,000 views like Shay Bottom? No, absolutely not. But 20 views on a post is a disaster. 100 views, 300, 400, up to about 1,000 to 2,000 to 3,000. Now we're in a good spot. I think, personally, people take vanity metrics too far. They think Shay Bottom, 40,000, Jonathan Palmer, 50,000 views. You don't need that many views to get a conversion. If you do it right, like your post, I can definitely see companies hopping on your DM to say, hey, you got time to chat, right? Because you've already done the direct conversion. You're doing a lot of direct conversion copywriting that's mixing up humor and you're winking at people at the same time. You're being sarcastic, but you're having fun. I get that because I understand it. And I don't know if companies get that, but they're addicted to it, right? So to me, vanity metric matter to a point. There's a ceiling to it. And then at this point, you now got to convert them. You've got to do something with that. You can't just grow your vanity metric to the moon. It doesn't do anything. You've got to start switching to, okay, how do I get people to DM me? Just talk business. Do you agree with me or kind of?
Oh yeah, you only need it's not how many people view, it's how many of the right people view, right? So that's the difference in vanity metrics. I don't need 10,000 views if there are 10,000 people who don't care. I need the one who cares to see it. That's it. I have a friend who does this super high technical stuff. He will make a post that gets 5 views, but those 5 people are like the 5 heads at Google, Facebook, whoever, and then he gets calls and then he's good to go. And it drives me nuts. I don't know how he does it, but either way, it's amazing. But yes, I totally agree. With company stuff, I've had a really interesting approach, and this is where I bang my head on the wall. I hope the right people aren't watching, but we're going to say it anyway. So I will sit in a room. I've had this like maybe 4 times this past week. I'll sit in a room and I'll say, your company posts are basically just a pulse. The posts from your actual company don't matter. And I've said this before. I really think ads on LinkedIn, like unless you do it really well, really honestly, most of them are just garbage. And I don't think the right people are seeing them, and I don't think they convert. I've seen the customer acquisition cost is nuts. Like it's stupid. I would never advertise on LinkedIn. And I put a caveat right when it matters. But from a company perspective, people who go to your company page, they just want to see a pulse. They want to get an idea of what you do from the post. They want to see that you're alive and you exist. That's it, though. So I've had a lot of people want to pay me to write their company post, and I'm like, nah. Because like you're wasting your money. You just need stupid stuff for the company just so people know you're alive. What I try to do is find somebody within the company with the right personality who can be the influencer. Because like I can't make you follow my company, but I can connect with you. So it's easier for a person to grow a following than it is for a company to grow a following, as you guys both know. So then once the person grows their following, I was going to write this up, but basically, let's say I have to disclose anything. Let's say I have a person with a particular skill. I'm trying to think of, let's say it's let's say vegan food, right? I'll just pick something out of my butt. So let's say we have vegan food. You're a vegan food store and you're trying to get followers. If you have an owner who's really passionate about vegan food, have them write everything about vegan foods that they know, right? Get it in video, get it in text, whatever, break that down, turn that into post, make that person like the go-to person for vegan food. And then you take little bits of what they say and that becomes your company post. So you don't focus on your company post and write them like they're the most important thing because they're not. You grow the individual and then you just pick little gems out of what the individual says and then bloop, that's your company post. But I still have people fight and they're like, yeah, I agree. The company posts are just a pulse, so write us 1,000 of them. I'm like, no, but we just talked about it. That's not the important part, right?
See, I couldn't agree more. I think that if you were going to, and the client that I'm working on now, we've got exactly the same challenge. So demand generation through LinkedIn, and there's an army of people working on this. Okay. And I got involved at the start, and then I lost the will to live because, after meeting and all this sort of stuff. But I think if I was to take on a project like that, not that I'm qualified to, but if I was, I'd be saying, you have to let James or Doug do this. Step away. Like, you're not going to be involved at all because you're no good at it. So we're going to do it all for you. That's the only way you can do it. I'm sorry. You can be polite and try and be, fit in within the corporate guidelines. But say, no, if you want this to work, you have to trust our track record, and you have to look at I call it to take a temperature check of LinkedIn right now. It is not the same temperature it was a year ago. Like this platform is a completely different social experiment today as it was a year ago. And if you don't get that, if you still think LinkedIn is a trumped up resume, portal, then you're dreaming, right? So I think it's lending itself to massive personal conviction and engagement. It's why people are doing so well on LinkedIn because they give their all, and they resonate. It's James the copy guy, not James the sales guy, right? It's James the maddeningly annoying GIF person. You know what? You gotta confess your GIF source today. One GIF source. One GIF source. We want one GIF source. Otherwise, we're going to cut the podcast now. You're going to. That drives.
I had a thought before. Why
mad.
does it make you angry?
Oh my God! I'm thinking, where does he get these? It takes me hours to find GIFs, and you come up with the killer GIFs. Unbelievable. Does it annoy you, Doug? It annoys me. I'm telling you.
All right. I'm going to get the Doug does GIFs. Doug speaks GIFs. Okay. So we're going to cover two things first. I will get to that. I promise you. What I was going to tell you, the frustration I think of almost every consultant is it's kind of the lead a horse to water situation, right? I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make him drink. So it happens in, I will say probably 60, 70% of times that I'm working with somebody that I have to say, I'm sorry, why did you hire me?
Right.
But it's because to your point and to Doug's point, they say it's not working. Like, so, it's not, LinkedIn's not working, whatever, and it's all stuffy. And you're like, okay, well, it's stuffy. We're going to do something fun. And they're like, well, no. We don't do fun.
Yeah, we're cool.
And like, well, yeah. And you're like, well, did you, like, what? You called me why? Like, what was it that drew you to me? Why not, So that is a frustration that I don't have a good answer to other than throwing a hard no. Like, no, if you want it this way, this is how I do it. So I'm going to say no, unless you're going to play. and there's no other way to do it. So, okay. So do you, Simon, iPhone?
Yes.
Android. Okay.
iPhone.
So do you have Giphy?
Yeah. But I do it on my laptop. I can't do anything on my phone. I
No,
can't see.
not read my. Okay. Well, you can still from Giphy. You can still put it. You can still like send the gift to yourself and then load it in
I'm
your
not going to
laptop.
show you my phone because I'm scared of what might come up on my browser. So I'm not going to,
My browser,
okay, fine.
Giphy,
Okay,
right?
fine.
So yeah. So
I'll call a
usually,
teenager. I'll call a teenager and ask him how to do it.
gosh. So
I'll
sometimes
figure it out.
it is. Most times it's I have a slight idea of what I want or what I'm doing or something, and then I'll just search a term or whatever. And my general rule for selecting a GIF is if it makes you laugh, I assume it'll make you laugh too. That's not always true,
Well, it
but
does.
that's one of my criteria.
All
That's
right. So
where
let me move. Let me ask you another question. So at what point, James, do you decide I've I've got enough traction on this platform to quit my day job?
I don't know who's watching this, so I don't know if I should answer that.
What was that?
But I don't know who's watching this, so I don't know if I should answer that. I'm happy. I'm happy with what I'm doing at the moment. I don't know if my level of anxiety will allow me to fully go fully independent.
Well, Doug, how long have you been self-employed?
I self-employed is kind of a weird term, but I would say about 9 years. No, 8 years. Yeah.
8 years.
But during those 8 years, I've had to take on different types of revenue to sustain that. Now I don't have to. Now everything's working as it should be. But to say that I quit everything on day one and just got here would be a lie. I've had to take, odd jobs. I've started side businesses to kind of fund that. I've done weird stuff. I've gone back to teaching for summer school. And then I've taught sign language courses, all this to kind of keep it going. Now I'm
Yeah.
at a point where it would make no sense for me to get another job.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a full-time job. Be on LinkedIn. By the way, it's a full-time job. By itself, it's a full-time job. Then I've got 9 clients who I manage their LinkedIn account. So I'm literally on LinkedIn 18, 19 hours a day. Literally. From
I have trouble.
4 o'clock in the morning because I've got people in Asia who need a post. I put their post on Hootsuite, but somebody's got to be there to comment. So I'm the one commenting on those posts. I hate to break it to people, but those CEOs that you're talking to out there, it's me you're talking to. I'm kidding. But, so there's no way I could get another gig. It's just too much. And then I've got companies I work for the website copy. I do the email marketing. I do a bunch of different things. So this is it. This is all I've got.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I I had to, I haven't been on LinkedIn for the last week and a half, and people thought I died. Like people are sending me messages saying, "Are you alive?" But do you just,
There's never a day in the last 2.5 years that I'm not on LinkedIn. Now, the last 2 days I haven't posted. But I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on different accounts. So I see what the algorithm does on many different accounts with many different industries. And it's crazy because I have client feeds. Well, I will never see James or Simon. You just don't, no matter what you're doing, you're not coming in the feed. And even my own posts doesn't come in their feed. So that makes me think, so how do I get in a CEO's feed? And so anyway, I don't think I've ever been off LinkedIn in 2.5 years. 2.5.
Yeah.
And prior to that, I was on Twitter every single day for my own account and other people's account. Once you get into social media marketing, it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's where the money is. I'm sure people will tell me, well, you should probably hire an agency and have a bunch of VAs comment. But you can't train a VA to get leads. You cannot train a BA to convey comments to leads. You can't. You just can't. They're not trained. They're trained to do different things. That's my opinion. But other agencies say, "Oh, we have our BAs handle it." And I'm like, are you sure you want your BA to handle a CEO comment and DM? Okay.
So let's talk about something that I'm curious to see what James's view is on, because Doug and I have a view on this. So let's talk about pods, James.
Yeah.
So I don't know. To be honest, I don't know a whole lot about it, and it's only recently people have highlighted them. And then when you start to look at people's posts, you can see, oh, that's clearly a pod, because massive engagement.
Yeah.
Not a corresponding amount of comments. So huge likes or generic comments that you can see are then that are essentially automated. So like why even use them? Like I don't get the logic.
I think so. First of all, I've never used it. Second of all, I've learned to appreciate there's kind of a level of having enough. I feel like big companies don't have this. Big companies want more customers, more acquisition, more. But to Doug's point, I got all I can manage. My bucket's full. I'm good. So I've learned there's a piece with kind of having enough. I have exactly what I want. When it comes to engagements and comments and stuff, again, I try to respond to all of them. I try to be present, right, with the people. I can list off people that I know, like every time I'm going to see this person or they hold a special place to me, right? If I got a bunch of thanks, great post. I mean, I try to respond. It's funny, but it's like I have no interest in being part of a pod because number one, I don't have time to go through and return the favor to everybody. But secondly, that I don't see value in just a bunch of garbage comments, because then I have to go respond with garbage comments, and it waters down the actual good ones. There are some people who challenge me on those ad rewrites and rewrite their own, and I think mine's better. I'm like, oh, well, I think yours is cool too, and I want other people to see them. So basically, I don't know. I don't see the value, but what I will say, why I think people do it, is because if you have 30,000 followers or something, I think some people do use that and say, well, this person obviously knows what they're doing. So if you want to be a LinkedIn coach, go get 30,000 followers. You can probably convince people that you can get them 30,000 too and just sign them up for the same pod or something. So I think that's where the appeal is. People want to feel important. Again, nobody likes posting and getting 2 likes. So you have 2 choices. You can either join a pod and just get fake engagement, but at least you feel good about yourself. Or you can try to apply yourself, find a unique angle, etc., so that you actually earn the community that you build. So I think they're stupid.
I mean, I think that
I'm pretty amoral about pods, meaning I don't get upset if I find out somebody's using a pod, or if they're not, I don't care. I have seen the effects of what pod does to somebody's
feed
engagement rate, right? So I've never used a pod on my personal account. That's not to say I'm so awesome. No, because I'm a little bit more patient with letting the system work and trying to test out different messages. Now, clients don't have that kind of patience. Clients don't have the patience to hear me say, give me 6 months and I'll get you up to here. 6 months. I don't have 6 months. So when you're talking about that kind of pressure, the pressure to increase engagement, what takes 6 months into 2 to 3 months is enormous. And I'm not, and so here's what happens. And James, I'm sure you can confirm that. But what I found about the LinkedIn algorithm is that when you put a post out, right? You post, LinkedIn takes this post to the top 10% of your network and it tests it in front of your network, only 10% of it. And if those 10% like it, massive engagement from that small bracket, then LinkedIn will push it out further into your own network and test another group of people within your network. And if they like it, it keeps going. And what people are looking for is to get out of their network. So what a pod does is bypass it the first 2 or 3 steps that LinkedIn has with the algorithm and automatically push your post and out of network into new feeds, different feeds you've never been in before. And so, and to me, I've always made the analogy that what's the difference between a pod and hiring an SEO specialist? SEO specialists gain everything they can to make sure you're on the first page of a Google search. That does not mean you have the best website. That means whoever you hired has triggered SEO in a variety of different ways. Blog, time on page, lots of different interesting keywords, all to get on the first page of a Google search. And what I found that some of my best websites that I go to for information, maybe I'm having a tennis elbow problem, right? So automatically I see the first page, it's a bunch of BS, it's flop, it's flop. Then I go to the second and third page. There's the report I want to read about the tennis elbow. You're never going to get a report on the first page of a Google search. You're going to get flop from, I don't know, a celebrity PT who has a marketing team who game the SEO to make sure they end up on the first page. Or maybe they're even lazier. They buy some Google ads and get you on the first page, irregardless. So pod, SEO, they're kind of the same thing. It's about gaming and getting you in front of the most people. But some people are going to shoot me for saying that, but especially SEO people, but it's no different, I think.
Oh, see, Doug, you're wrong. You're wrong, Doug. I'll tell you why. Because, see, there's two sorts of SEO, okay? White hat and black hat. And you have to understand the difference, okay? So white hat SEO people are genuine content builders. They look at quality links, they look at the quality of the website. And I'll give you an example. With our transportation business, we own our geography, okay? Because we've been around for 5 years. We didn't pay for backlinks. All our links are solid, okay? Or the content is solid. The content is genuine. We use a current WordPress theme, and we're updating that content constantly. But Google look at our quality and know that we dominate in a hyperlocal market. So you can't beat us in Longmont or Boulder County. Because it's taken 5 years to do that. Now, we did invest heavily in a white hat SEO agency years ago, and that still pays off because we get bookings every day, organic bookings every day online, okay? And so I agree with you that, pods are like black hat SEO practitioners, people that are trying to game the system. But you will eventually get found out, okay? There are a lot of smarter people. There are a lot of smarter people than you and I and even James that work for Google that are thinking this shit up every day and protecting their fort, if you like.
I agree. Quality matters. At the end of the day, the best quality wins. Like James, he's winning every day. That's high quality. Unfortunately, people, by and large, companies that even James and I work for, look at all the ads James converts to a popular ad. Think of how many thousands of dollars these companies have paid people to write these shitty ads. And James, for fun, for sport, converts them into a quality ad. That's where, I think our disagreement, I'm in agreement that quality matters 100%. But as I told James before,
you're like a politician.
Soon catch me up.
You're like a politician. You just agree with everything that's going on. What?
So you have no choice but to game the system.
I think there's a difference though. I think a lot of people think that social is it's a checkbox. We have to have one. Why? Because our competitors have one. So we have to have one. And so then, why should we buy ads? Well, yeah. And then I think they don't even look at the cost of acquisition. They don't look at the LTV. They don't pay attention to all that kind of stuff. It's like just something that you do. Why do you have a budget for this? Well, because we do, I guess. And I feel like that's the fault. The difference I was going to say so again, going pod, no pod makes a difference for influencer versus company page. So I am upfront with people about the 6-month time frame, right? Like if we're gonna build it, I'm clear with people on how long it took me to build it. But there are a bunch of other interesting, fun ways to grow your network versus going to a pod. And this is about seeing people in your second loop and third loop too. And a lot of it, this is so cool. So it's about this. It's about the comments. It's about the connection with other people. It's about the web. And I believe you can agree with this. As soon as you get your web of people going, things will start happening. So just had, I'll give a shout out, Mark Lawrence. Mark Lawrence takes static images. So the ad that the company puts up that's a static picture, he'll take it and animate it. And it looks so awesome. So he said, can we work together? You write the copy. I'm going to make a cool animation. Let's do it. I'm like, that sounds cool. His are awesome. And he said he took my idea basically of taking a real ad and changing it. He did it with an animated ad and got like 3 or 4 gigs out of it or something. Just one post. Again, not a ton of views. One post got conversion. Right. So today he launched his. I have to polish off mine. And then I'm going to launch one with his ad and my copy. Like, here's what it was before. You can see what it was. Here's what the copy was before. Here's where it comes out afterwards. So there's things like that. I'm talking to some CEOs who do some customer experience stuff. I haven't told Ariel about this or anybody about this. So Ariel doesn't know, nobody knows. But I'm working with a customer who does customer experience. Ariel, who a lot of people know, worked at a car dealership for a long time. The customer experience process, she probably knows really well, and it was terrible. So if I can get the CEO of this company that does the company experience to talk about Ariel about her previous experience in auto and how they treat people and whatever, now all of a sudden she's featured in Ariel's feed. She's going to get a bunch of second degree connections that she doesn't know, right? Because Ariel's follower count is so much higher than her follower count. It's similarly, I'm on this right now with you guys. So people who have no clue who I am are going to find out. I will repost it, and then people who don't know Simon will get just the honor of knowing Simon. And same thing with Doug. All of a sudden, people are going to be turned on to some pretty awesome music choices. But you see what I mean? Like this is so cool. This is so much better of a way to put things together and have people find out about new people. I didn't know who the heck Alex Miner was. He just reached out. Seems like a really cool guy. He just had me on LinkedIn Live yesterday, which crashed. So we did YouTube Live and whatever else. But either way, because of him, like his followers got to meet me. My followers got to meet him. He's a solid dude with some good services. So I mean, like, this to me is the fun part. This to me is what you should focus on, versus the pod. I get it. So it's a fun conversation because I have CEOs that say, well, I don't have time. And I'm like, well, you know what? When you start having things come in, like inbound, you'll find time. Right. Like all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, I don't have time not to do this because it actually drives business. But I think all of that's more solid. Again, you do need to grow that base, but how do you? Because again, one meeting, if you are actually good, and I can get you with, we'll say Ariel, for example, she has, 8,000 followers or something. One good video conversation, live, whatever, with her, I mean, you're going to get probably hundreds of requests.
True. I mean, I think that's because I've spent so much time in corporate, and I think here's the difference. Like, people ask me this. See, when you work for corporate, it's a different emotional attachment to money. And what I mean by, James, you just said it before. If you rewind the tape, why do you have that budget? I don't know. We do. Okay.
And if we don't spend it this year, we're going to lose it.
Right. So we're going to spend it. It's not money. It's not money out of Doug's pocket or James's pocket or Simon's pocket. It's budget. Yep. And so consulting is all about, finding out how to manipulate or cajole the budgets to work for you, and say, who's the budget, who's the stakeholder, who's the budget holder, who else do we need to go talk with? Okay. Because can someone else fund this? Can we take it from marketing? Can we take it from sales? Can we take it from finance, HR, whatever it is? And people are protective about budgets, as they should be, but it's not the same emotional, like a $15,000 budget for copy or creative, or social is different than Doug saying, Simon, you owe me, $8,500 for the last 2 weeks' work. I'm thinking, Doug, you've been smoking, a lot lately. Like, why do I owe you that? Because that hurts, right? But from companies, and that's what I'm saying, that whilst they're unrealistic with their expectations, they've also got a lot more horsepower behind the system. And I also think that their expectations once you're running are a little bit less. And I think someone posted this the other day. They said, the person that spends $500 with you as a $500 client as opposed to a $50,000 client, that $50,000 client is typically going to be a lot easier to manage than the
Oh yeah, I
$500.
saw that. Yep.
Remember that? Saying,
Yep.
yeah, and that was the post where someone, put like a paragraph around, hey, I'm sending you this $500. I hope you're going to transform my life. I'm going to meet gorgeous women and my whole life is going to be nirvana. As opposed to the $50,000 client, money wide, thanks. That's it. Because that's the concept. And so I think that's the challenge of corporate, is finding stakeholders now that are prepared to take a bigger risk and be personal with their brands. Okay, the ones that actually say, all right, Doug, all right, James, we're gonna leave it to you, because clearly what we're doing now isn't working. It's just postcard marketing. They're putting up the picture of the company logo and or an article that they link to Harvard Business Review. I mean, I see this all the time, and I think they're just wasting their money. So
And I hate, so we just did that, what is it? Alex Miner again posted that, like, what's your social selling index? Have you guys done that?
the social what?
Social selling index. So LinkedIn gives you a 1 to
Yeah.
100 number.
Yeah. So mine's 80, whatever that means.
Yeah. Well, they rank you on 4. There's like 4 slider bars. And it's funny. So I have 84. And what one of those slider bars is, where they say I could use improvement, is sharing insightful industry news.
Right. Okay.
And I don't share anything, because when you hit that share button, I've seen some that do well, but when you hit the share button, typically my views are totally in the garbage, and the engagement's in garbage. If you're like, here's a Wall Street Journal report on whatever, nobody cares. It gets 200 views, it's in the garbage. So it's funny. I'm totally fine having a void in that area because I haven't found any value.
Yeah, I mean, I think sharing has got weaker and weaker and weaker. Like I think I've shared maybe 3 posts. One of them was Doug's, and I mean, the only people that read it was Doug's mother, my mother, and some crazy girl that's stalking me in Poland, right? So, but I don't know. But no one reads sharing stuff, right?
Yeah. If anything, again, you just drop a link below. Here's the original.
Yeah,
post.
I mean, I think that is the key, to say, hey, look, Doug wrote a great post or James wrote a great post about this. You put your own spin on it. It's going to get much better traction.
That's another point, though. So what companies out there, I've been trying to say this forever, what companies out there actually calling individuals, calling people? Like, so there was a study, what's his name? I have his book. There's a guy who makes a lot more money than me, who basically found the stat that people respond better to companies. So I think it's interesting. You almost have to be invited if you're a company. Don't just spam people's feed. But like, if somebody in Twitter, you see this a lot. If somebody's like, I got new Nikes and I'm excited, and Nike's like, we're excited for you, go climb a mountain. The person's elated because they want to hear from brands they love, right? They'd rather hear, the study was like, X % of people, whatever, would rather hear from the brand than their own friends. Like, your friends are like, sweet, you got shoes. But if Nike writes, you're like, oh my gosh. So similarly, I've had companies who reach out who are like, hey, your stuff is incredible, whatever, but in a public post, like in a comment, and it's the company. I'm like, huh. So I checked out, there was a company called Meatwell, and they just spammed a post, but it was really nice and called me out, whatever, cool. And I found I was their 23rd follower. They only had 4 posts. They've been active for a month, and they were awesome, though. Like, the posts were awesome. So I highlighted them in a post, just like, how sweet this company, like, go read them. They're actually funny. Like, somebody did it right. And of course, they don't have a copywriter, to circle back to the beginning. It's just a few guys just trying to throw funny stuff together. Right. And they were up to 190 followers by the next day. So I got them 170 something followers just by highlight. But I didn't do it. I just brought attention to the fact that they're doing the right thing. But similarly, let's say a company like who has nothing to do with Doug tagged Doug because they thought Doug's post was incredible. And let's say they're a music company or something, and they're like, hey, this is an awesome way of putting a spin on some music, whatever, and they're just a music production company. They don't ask anything. They just highlight Doug. Doug is like, whew. Obviously when somebody mentions you in a post, you're like, oh, wait, what just happened? And you're like, oh, that's so cool. They called me out. But it's like, again, to your point, the higher level guys, companies, none of them are doing that. That is networking. That is how you're following. You actually call out people who are doing an amazing job, even if they're like only parallel related to what you do. You call them out. I've had other, like, I don't know why, but I've had other people who I would consider probably a competitor. I don't consider anybody a competitor to me, but I would like they do digital marketing, they do copywriting, they do whatever. Shared a post but tag me in it, look at the whatever, and then well, cool, like great guys, thanks. I don't really know why, but my point is, I think there's this level of networking that doesn't happen, and they don't know why. People feel like they just need to throw posts into the void, like even individuals. To your point, I read a Wall Street article, or Wall Street Journal article. I'm just going to share it. Like I'm just throwing things into the void. I don't pay attention to my comments or respond to anybody or connect with anybody who likes it, and then they just wonder why they're stagnant. There's a whole world of possibilities out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think a friend of mine is struggling with LinkedIn at the moment. Okay, and you know, sent me a post, sent me a text the other day saying, "Can you look at my most recent LinkedIn post? Is it too personal?" And I'm not the person to judge on personal given the stuff I've posted. So, but I think that, and I'd be interested to see what both of your comments were on this in terms of what's the best advice you could give to a person. But I know I know we've beaten this to death, but I'd say, look, just be yourself. Don't worry about, I know we talked about metrics before and we're contradicting ourselves, but just show up for 6 months. Just give me 6 months. Just show up every day for 6 months. Find people that you like and post on their comment, post on their comment on their posts as much as you can. Okay. And be far more concerned about that than anything else. And success, for whatever you want to call it, will come, whether that be improved engagement, improved likes, improved community. I mean, one of the best friends I have on LinkedIn is Amy, and I insulted her in a post, and we went head to head in a DM for like a couple of days, and then we just became good friends. And I think that's a part of it now. And I think the day of reckoning is coming. Like I'm working with a whole group of people in the investment community. And these people, like investment bankers, venture capitalists, money people, typically they dismiss LinkedIn. They don't need to be there, they think. That's their thought. I don't need to be there. Stock market's we're killing it in the stock market. We want companies to come to us that want money. But I'm absolutely convinced that the day of reckoning is coming. And LinkedIn is if you haven't invested the time on LinkedIn now, you're going to be behind the 8 ball. That's just my view. And I don't care what industry you're in. So Doug, you go first. What are the most important things that a person can do now if they're not on LinkedIn, and what should they be doing? And then James, I'd like to hear from you.
Most important thing that they should be doing if they're not on LinkedIn is get on LinkedIn. And day one, I don't like the term "be yourself." I hate that term. And I'll tell you why. Because who I am on LinkedIn is one part of myself. I have many parts to myself, and quite frankly, most of myself would be entirely inappropriate for LinkedIn. But so I try to pick the most appropriate part of myself without getting kicked off the platform, and try to have a little fun with that. So I don't like that term. However, I will say this, I've worked with CEOs, as I keep seeing me bragging about. I'm not bragging, that's just what I do. But the number one thing is they don't know what to say. They have no idea what you mean by, tell me about yourself. They're like, well, they start, getting all, alpha male on me. And then they hear things like, well, be more vulnerable. And I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't worry about, whether you're going to cry on a post or not. It's more about showing up, having fun, finding ways to connect with your tribe of 5. You have 5 people, 5 followers, connect with them. Reach out to them in the DM, have a conversation, ask how they're doing. What do they do for work? Oh, how interesting. Start there. Start by having a conversation. You're not worried so much about what you're posting because, quite frankly, nobody's reading them. If you only have 5 followers, nobody's reading them. Have more conversation first before you start worrying about, okay, what should I post? That's just my opinion, because like I told Jane, when you get to about 1,000 followers, that's when you should worry about what you're posting and how you say it. But before that, have conversation, reach out to people. Uh, look, look at what everybody's doing. Don't try to copy. But if you see somebody doing something you like, can you spin it? Can you spin it your own way? Can you tackle it from a different angle and still get to the same conclusion? Because that's what people are looking for. People are tired of the same old content. Same. Even people are starting to get tired of song posts that I do. My engagement is tanking. Why is that? Because people are starting to copy me. Go on LinkedIn. There's people copying me left and right. And starting with the song post and spending it. And look, they're tagging me on these things. So that's when I know, okay, my time's done that. I'm gonna stop doing it. So I'm working on something else. But anyway, if you just got on LinkedIn, focus on conversation, networking, conversation, posting for shits and giggles. Just have a giggle out of it. And then once you start building momentum, then you can start getting serious about, okay, what am I selling? You know, don't go on LinkedIn to sell anything for the first 3 months. You have nothing to sell. Nobody wants it.
No, I agree. James, what's give me the I've come into the James doctor's office. Help me fix my LinkedIn, disease.
I should get that checked out. No, I agree with Doug as far as the networking is the biggest thing. You want to grow a tribe. I was actually talking to my dad with 273 followers, and he's posting a video, and his are hilarious, and I do like them. But I'm like, you're putting all this effort in for like 4 likes, and then when he'd get a few likes, like maybe he'd get a comment or two, and he wouldn't respond.
Why don't you feature the video, you selfish?
I've called a couple out. I've called a couple of those out, and then I had to call them afterwards and be like, when these people comment, can you at least pop in and say thank you? Because like I led people to you, and I don't want it to be a letdown, right? Come on. And then he would respond like, thank you with the first name. And I'm like, no, but that. So either way, love you, Dad. We're working on it. But that's the point of I have so many messages from people who say, I'm doing what everyone said. I'm making a post today, and it's not getting traction. Well, of course not. What you need to do is find those kind, loving people. Ariel was doing Zoom meetings on Friday afternoon. Join one. Like there's so many opportunities out there to grow the actual network. And when you grow the actual network, people appreciate you and you're going to start to get traction. And it's not as easy because, again, I can't pay a VA out of India or whatever to go do that for me. You have to actually do that. You have to actually care because you believe in a greater purpose beyond, right? But yeah, to me, it's getting that network up and running and rolling. And that I think is the most important thing. I wanted to say really quick, I think it's funny, Doug. I've had a few people send me messages of like, hey, people are copying your stuff. And I did look, and I would take an old ad, and then I would say, here's my spin. And I would see the new, it was always, here's my spin. And then I'd put like a tornado or a Ferris wheel or something, or frisbee or something that spins after it. And somebody was legit doing ad rewrites. And then here's my spin halfway through. I'm like, dude, you didn't even, like, come on. But anyway, I've gotten the same thing. I'm not stopping because it's still working, and people like it. So, but
See,
that's kind of funny. I'm like, come up with your own thing.
That's the good part about what I do. No one copies me because no one knows what I do anyway. So I'm happy that's like that. Yeah?
The nice part is, I mean, it sounds silly, but having a hashtag doesn't mean anything. It's not yours. Other people can use it. Anybody can use it, right? But having it, you can show the pedigree of like, look, it's been since this time. I use hashtags more for categorization than anything. You're showing, here, I've had it from this time, and here's all the work I've done. So it's a good way instead of some people are like, well, I did it before you. Really? Like, where? Yeah.
So do you think that people should be promoting personal hashtags, James?
I don't think when people just make it their post, like at the end of every post, they just put this hashtag. Well, then it's kind of redundant. Because I think the amount of posts that people actually see from hashtags is small. Like every once in a while, here's a featured from hashtag marketing or whatever. Okay. But if you put it at the end of every single thing you do, well, then it's kind of like just have someone go look at your actual post. But like my LinkedIn ad rewrites are one separate piece. Then I have EE 101 I've just started, and there's a secret purpose for why, but it's breaking down the electronic stuff into more simple concepts, right? So then those are two buckets. So I can send somebody to one, go click this hashtag, you see all those specific ones. Go to LinkedIn ad rewrites, and you'll see all the previous ones I did. If you follow my post, though, there's going to be like some funny gifts that have nothing to do with anything. So I don't want to waste your time, right? So for me, the hashtag is a method of categorization. If you want to make a personal one, that's awesome. But if you just put it at the end of all of your posts, then it's just eating characters without really any payoff.
Okay. What else? Because I know we're at an hour, and I know you've probably got more important things to do than gas on to us. But we were really looking forward to chatting with you today. I hope.
Really let you down.
No. I think there's some great content in there. I think we need to. We'll find out. What we do is we send it to our IT guy. He'll give you the raw. We'll send you the raw footage, and then you can do with it what you want, and then we'll cut it up, and we kind of typically put a blooper bit at the start, and then we'll put like 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes. But Doug, when do you want to post it? Tomorrow? Do you want us to post it tomorrow morning or Sunday morning?
Post it on Monday morning, man.
Monday morning. Okay, fine. He wants us to post it.
Everyone's gonna be cranky on Monday.
No, Monday. You sure?
Coffee time.
Okay, all right. Monday morning. All right. Well, I appreciate it, James. It's good to finally see you. I didn't even think you had working internet in the wherever you live. Point the camera out the window. Is there cows out the window? Point the camera out the window.
Can you keep a secret?
Yeah. Let me see.
He's outside.
Oh my gosh, you're in the forest.
Are you like in a minimum penitentiary somewhere? Like, are you on like a white collar,
You know what? So
prison farm? What?
Here's what's sweet. The wife and I wanted to get out of the city because we had so many other houses around us and people around us and all this stuff. So I sold when the boom happened, like 4 or 5 years ago, when houses started going up. I sold like at the top of the market, but I bought in the middle of nowhere where the property value was nothing. So this is like West Michigan properties. I have it was like 180, 2 acres, 1,000 square foot house, 4 bedroom, 3 baths, whatever.
And you actually convinced a woman to come with you to live in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, she wanted out of the city too. Our old house, I had a window that if you go in the bathroom, you shut the door. I mean, come on, shut the door. I could see out of my window into the neighbor's window. So there are a few times I'd look over and like there would be the neighbor and there would be me. Like, so we kind of wanted to get away from that scenario.
Okay, fine. Yeah,
anyway, we bought in the middle of nowhere when the property value was low. So I bought for 180, and the houses around me are selling for 225 right now. But because the bubble's kind of spread, now everyone wants to get out of the city, right? Because COVID and all this stuff.
So like, how long does it take you to go to the supermarket? Like 3 days? Do you like have to like fill up your pickup truck full of diesel and then set up? Say, see you, honey. I'm going to go get eggs and milk. I'll be back on Wednesday.
25 minutes one way.
25 minutes. Okay. What's the closest town then?
So it's really weird. So I'm in a town called Gobles.
G-O-B-L-E-S,
not Gobbles, but Gobles. And then it's weird because I'm like here, and then there's a village here, town, whatever, called Kendall.
Yeah.
And then there's Gobles, like Gobles downtown. So for me to go from, I live in Gobles to Gobles, like to downtown, I have to go through another town. I don't even, it's weird. So the closest one is called Kendall. There isn't a stoplight, but they do have one of the speed limit signs that tracks your speed. Like it always, you go through and it's like, hey buddy, it's 35 and you're doing 90. There's one of those. It does have a convenience store. That's like if you've ever gone camping, you go to that store, that has like it has Spam and like 2 kinds of ice cream. Like there's one of those, which is where we get the ice cream. The best part is we don't have a mail truck. So there is a Jeep. There's a Jeep that has a like flashing orange, yellow light that they drop the mail at that Kendall store and then at the store. So my mail lady also is the lady who sells me ice cream. She drives the Jeep around, drops everything off for your mail.
And she's
so crazy around here that you'd end up in a ditch if you're in a snow truck.
My family my ex-wife and all her family from Michigan, but they're in a little town near Flint. So how far away are you from Flint?
I went to college in Flint, so I am about 2.5 hours away from Flint. I'm on the west side.
Oh,
West
okay.
side, the best side. It's pretty out here.
Because Flint ain't big.
No, I went to GMI, which is General Motors Institute, which is Kettering. It's an engineering school. So
Doug's leaving.
anyway, I did my time in Flint.
All right. It's good to talk to you, James. We'll talk soon.
Good to talk to you again.
See you, bud.
See you.